And just a reminder for those of you who are on the interactive link, the briefing by the President of the Security Council will be in person only, so that link will be shut, but you'll be able to watch it on the UN webcast, of course. At 2:15, there'll be a briefing here by the on the third meeting of the parties, of the states parties to the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Speakers will include Akan Rahmatulin, the first Deputy Foreign Minister of Kazakhstan, and the president of the meeting, and he will be joined by Melissa Park, the Executive Director of the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. The Secretary General, as previously announced, arrived in Cairo today. As you well know, he was invited to attend the Extraordinary Arab League Summit, which is taking place tomorrow, and it will focus on the situation in the Middle East, in particular in Gaza. The Secretary General spoke to you on Friday about the messages he will convey to the attendees at the summit. Tomorrow, he will reiterate that the ceasefire and hostage release deal must hold in light of developments we see unfolding. On the margin of the summit, the Secretary General will hold discussions with leaders and officials in attendance. Today, he met with the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa. Tomorrow, he's scheduled to hold discussions with the President of the host country, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and as he has other bilaterals, we will share that with you. As you know, the Secretary General welcomes and strongly supports the Arab-led efforts to mobilize support for the reconstruction of Gaza's. He will also emphasize that there is no sustainable reconstruction without a clear and principled political horizon. As soon as we're in a position to do so, we will share his remarks with you under the embargo, but probably not till tomorrow morning. Also, you will have seen that yesterday, in a statement we released, the Secretary General urged all parties to make every effort to prevent a return to the hostilities in Gaza. He calls for the humanitarian aid to flow back into Gaza immediately and for the release of all hostages. Tom Fletcher, our emergency relief coordinator, said that Israel's decision to halt aid into Gaza is indeed alarming. He added that international humanitarian law is clear. We must be allowed to access to deliver vital life-saving aid. We need to get aid in and the hostages out, he said. Earlier on the weekend, Saturday, the Secretary General issued another statement in which he noted that thousands of trucks carrying life-saving assistance had entered Gaza during the past 6 weeks, with aid having reached nearly every person in the Strip. And that statement was shared with you. And he added that as Ramadan, a time of peace and reflection begins, he calls on all sides to spare no efforts to end the violence. The UN stands ready to support all such endeavors. And on the ground, I can tell you that since yesterday, the Karim Shalom, Erez, and Zikim crossings have been closed for cargo. This means that vital humanitarian assistance, including thousands of tents, remain undelivered. Every weekday in this room, we have been very clear in providing you updates from our colleagues from the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs on how the ceasefire has allowed ourselves and our partners to scale up the delivery of life-saving assistance to the people of Gaza. The ceasefire has provided the opportunity to distribute food, to distribute water, as well as shelter assistance and medical aid, allowing nearly everyone in Gaza to receive a food parcel. Our humanitarian partners tell us that following the closure of the crossings into Gaza yesterday, flour and vegetable prices increased more than 100-fold. Partners are currently assessing the stocks that are currently available within the Gaza Strip. UNICEF warns that the stoppage of aid deliveries into Gaza will quickly lead to devastating consequences for children and families who are struggling to survive. The agency says that between January 19th and this past Friday, almost 1,000 UNICEF trucks had crossed into Gaza, carrying clean water, medical supplies, vaccines, therapeutic food, and other material. Since the start of the ceasefire, UNICEF and its partners have provided warm clothing to about 150,000 children in Gaza and increased daily water distribution for nearly 500,000 people in more remote areas. Nearly 250,000 of children and thousands of pregnant and breastfeeding mothers have received nutritional supplement since the ceasefire took effect. Moreover, partners say fewer children are currently now enrolled at malnutrition sites. Meanwhile, over the past 2 weeks in Rafah and Khan Yunis and Deir al-Bala, partners have distributed vegetable seed kits for gardening. This will help communities eat a more diverse diet. Our partners are also working on the water, sanitation, and hygiene sector. Tell us that more than 1,500 water distribution points are operating across Gaza. This is double the number that we had at the start of the ceasefire. However, partners tell us that pipes and spare parts for maintenance are urgently needed. And as you know, we've been updating you on the work that World Food Program has been doing in increasing the large number of bakeries which are now operational in Gaza. And across Gaza, more than 100 public schools have reopened, accommodating some 100,000 students. In Gaza City in North Gaza,